anchors our coverage.
Scotty and Stu, it's history. World War I was happening when the Chicago White Sox last won a World Series. In Chicago, let the party begin. I have a feeling that it's mid-party already. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Houston for our continuing coverage of the World Series. Chris Berman, the skipper Larry Boa, Harold Reynolds, Peter Gammons. Another long drought, and even longer than last year, has ended. And after 88 years of famine, the White Sox, the, quote, number 2 team in a, quote, what was once the number 2 biggest city in the United States, they're number 1 now for sure. Well, the Chicago White Sox were trying to complete a wire-to-wire run. Very few teams had done that. They'd come into Houston knowing that once leading 3-0, we had the stat on last night, 18 of the previous 21 teams that had a 3-0 lead ended up sweeping the series. But the White Sox, a team that hadn't won since 1917, we just had a drought last year. Wire to wire it was. And here we go from Houston in Game 4, seemingly just hours after Game 3 had ended. The Latino Legends team, Major League Baseball, announced Roberto Clemente's sons, Luis and Roberto Jr., representing Juan Marichal and Fernando Valenzuela, Pedro Martinez, A-Rod, Edgar Martinez, just to name a few. Freddie Garcia, won in each of the previous rounds. How would he be on this night? Well, it was a pitcher's night, certainly. He gets Jason Lane, he gets Brad Osmus, and against Adam Everett, with a chance to drive home a run. No, sir. Everett 0 for 15 with runners in scoring position postseason. Top 4 after allowing a leadoff single. Brandon Bakke. Remember, he warmed up late last night, guys. We wondered how he'd be.
He was on fire through an unbelievable slider tonight.
Against Konerko, against A.J. Pierzynski, against Aaron Rowan, he would strike out 5 in a row, one shy of the World Series record.
7 innings. He had 17 swings and misses on his slider. That is unbelievable.
In the 6th, 2-on-1 out Morgan Ensberg, and he goes down swinging. Now 2 away. Intentional walk to Mike Lamb Garcia against Jason Lane. Bases loaded. Here you go. Do the Astros come back and get it going? No. What a big strikeout, Garcia.
2 things they did. They did matchups great in this series, and their defense caught the ball running scoring position. That's how you win.
Top of the 7th, Joe Creedy up with 2 outs, a man on a fly ball to deep left, and it's going to be off the out-of-town scoreboard. This is the only score you care about. Rowan kind of held up a little bit.
Yeah, he did. I think he thought there was 1 out, but there was 2 outs. I don't think he would have scored anyway, Boomer. Right there, he hesitated a little bit, but Berkman made a good play off the wall, and they got it in real quick.
The next batter, Juan Uribe, and Bakke gets him swinging, and yes, the president, George and Barbara Bush, they love it, and why not? It was a presidential pitching effort on this night. Adam Everett, the broken bat blooper, Uribe going up, but Sednick takes like a 9-iron divot.
These guys have played great defense all year. Tonight especially, they really turned it up a notch.
And so in the 8th inning, not a save situation, but it's a season save situation, Brad Litch. Jermaine Live and Let Die with 2 outs, his 3rd hit of the night.
And Willie Harris came up pinch hitting. Great, incredible pitch hit. What situation?
So with 2 out, the hit by Dye, and a run is scored. Cliff Polite in relief hits Willie Tavares, he's speedy, and now Lance Berkman. The ball bounces away.
That changed the whole at-bat for me. All of a sudden, 4 pitches, you put Berkman on. He's the one guy that's going to hurt you in that situation. Willie Harris wasn't going to run. Pass ball, wild pitch, however way you want to score it. It ends up changing the half inning.
Ozzie Guillen says, Neil Cox, you're in for Polite, and what an arm by Uribe. You would see his defense in the 8th and the 9th.
Uribe played a great series. He was outstanding in the field, and you need that kind of performance in a 1-0 ball game.
So now it's 1-0 and Bobby Jenks in Double-A in July. Jason Lane leading it off, and here we go. The tying run is on base. Osmus sacrifice bunt moves the runner to second.
It's time to get up, Boomer.
And then here's the play of the night. Juan Uribe, how does he do it? They don't even play here during the year. He doesn't know the configuration.
The role of Derek Jeter tonight is being played by Juan Uribe.
That is one tremendous catch. He went a long ways to even get over there, and that's what you dream about. We always talk about the big home run. What about the big defensive play in the World Series? Tremendous catch.
I wonder if he can follow that up, Harold.
Well, we'll see.
Jeff Bagwell pinch hit earlier. Biggio got a hit to start it on deck. He's just hoping. And the pinch hitter, Orlando Palmeiro. Jenks can't get it. Who's going to get it? Uribe. Bang, bang, play in first. Out. Cedarstrom makes the call. And the White Sox have won the World Series for the first time since 1917. For the game Astros, who came from the depths, and the game players like Biggio and Bagwell. They'll have to wait for another year. How about this?
And what a tremendous call by Gary Cedarstrom. He's out. Tremendous rocket play by Uribe, but what a call by the umpire.
Ozzie Guillen and the White Sox and Big Frank unable to play here in these playoffs. But a member of the squad, Sednick and Rowan, charging in from the outfield. Jermaine Dye had 3 hits in this finale. He's named the MVP. And Chicago hadn't even been in a World Series since 1959. Since Eddie Einhorn, one of their owners, was a vendor at Comiskey Park. He's here. Reinsdorf, Ken Williams, the GM, Ozzie Guillen, the manager, and all the players who won 11 of 12 in the postseason, 16 of their last 17 games, and they win the World Series 1-0 with a 24-year-old on the hill, who again, Bobby Jenks, was in Double-A in early July. Bobby Jenks with Carl Ravitch.
Bobby Jenks, can you tell me what kind of ride this has been from Game 1 through the World Series?
Oh, I mean, the best way I can describe this season is something to make up. Just everything where I've been, where, you know, what happened in my life. To be here right now is just something very, very special to me.
You can't make this stuff up, can you?
No, I mean, in a Fantastic Four story or something.
What's it like to know you can throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball when you need it in a World Series game?
It makes it a little bit easier, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
100-mile-an-hour fastball and 100. They can't get back to Chicago fast enough. The White Sox of 2005 won 99 games this year. By the way, best road record in baseball. Oh, by the way. The Reds in 1990 for Lou Piniella. The Tigers of Sparky in 84. The Dodgers, who finally broke through. And a team you might have heard of, the 27 Yankees. The only ones wire to wire. Day 1 to the final day of the season. Congrats to the White Sox. Ozzie Guillen at the podium.
Well, it was a great feeling. Believe me, I think it was a great competition against the guy we play against. It can go either way. You know, they play real tremendous baseball against us, and you know, good thing happened to us. I think that's the reason we win it.
And Ozzie and the starter tonight, Freddie Garcia, the winner, both from Venezuela. I mean, there's enough pride to go all the way around. And a team that, again, we repeat something last night, almost authored the, they have a 15-game lead, it's squander it. No one will ever remember that, Peter. Party on.
No, I mean, they completely dominated. They were the dominant team in baseball this year, and only the Cleveland Indians' miraculous 2 months, you know, made people say, oh, maybe they're not that great. But they were. I mean, you had the 5 teams that went wire to wire. The Reds didn't lead the league in wins that year. The Pirates did. So that's one of 4 teams to go wire to wire, lead the league in wins, and win the World Series. And if you look back over the last 25 years. I mean, the 98 Yankees are clearly the best team of the last 25 years. But if you go, the 99 Yankees, the 84 Tigers, 89 A's, and these White Sox, the White Sox are right there with any one of those other teams behind the 98 Yankees. They dominated. And why? They had great pitching. They had great defense, and they hit home runs, and they out-homered their opponents all the time, and that's why they were so great.
You know, we always talk about it all starts at the top. It starts with the owner. Jerry Reinsdorf flew everybody in the organization in, but the story of Jerry Reinsdorf to me is that he had 4 former players that he made commitments to a long time ago. Ozzie Guillen, the manager, Harold Baines, the bench coach, Greg Walker, the hitting coach, and he also brought along the 4th guy on that crew, Kenny Williams, ended up being the general manager. He made commitments to those guys when they were players that if we got in a position, I know you guys, I'm committed to you, and we're going to build something that's going to win. And he stuck to that. It didn't matter race, color, creed, whatever. It was all about the character of those men, and he built this organization around them because he trusted them, and it paid off.
Well, congratulations to the Chicago White Sox. Ozzie Guillen did a tremendous job. And for those people out there that don't think a fiery guy can be successful, take a look at what Ozzie Guillen did this year. He led them. Even when they were going bad, he stayed with them. This guy did a tremendous job. But this is a blue-collar team. They can beat you 8-7. They can beat you 5-4. And tonight they beat you 1-0. They had all the ingredients to be champions, and they dominated the series, and they deserve to be where they're at right now.
You're right. They could bash you, and they could bleed you. I mean, and you're right. They were versatile in the way that they won. And how about A.J. Pierzynski? Talk about being in the middle of everything. His teammates are calling him Captain Chaos, the catcher. He's with Carl Ravitch.
A.J., tell me what it was like to catch this pitching staff, this World Series.
Unbelievable. The whole thing, the whole year. We won the first game 1-0. Won the first game, the second half 1-0. It was only fitting it ended 1-0.
What is it about this team allows you to have success on the road? You're 6-0 in the postseason.
Just we believe. That's the bottom line, is that we believe we can win every game, no matter on the home or the road. And something about when this team gets on the road, man, we come together. And it's been an incredible run. And finally, the city of Chicago has its World Series.
What can you tell me about the unity on this club versus other teams you played for?
This one's as close as it gets. I mean, you can see it. As soon as we won, everyone went for each other. They stuck with each other through thick and thin, and we had some ups and downs. They were calling us chokers, now they can call us freaking champions.
Lastly, you're a little boy, you're playing Little League Baseball, you're a World Series champion. What does it feel like?
I can't even describe it. It's the best feeling you'll ever had. It's only second to getting married and having my baby a couple months ago.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks.
Well, A.J. Pierzynski, I mean, they'll be talking long after this is over about all the things that he was in the middle of and what might happen and what could have happened, etc. And look, it's a great scene still going on in the field. The White Sox fans, when you win it on the road, it's such relief. Now, obviously, the park is a visiting park in Houston, but there everybody wearing the white shirts and the black shirts, family out there on the field. The White Sox, they don't want to leave this place, starting with Jermaine Dye, 7 of 16, 3 hits tonight, hit .438 in the World Series MVP.
They had a collective group of guys you could have named MVP, but Jermaine Dye, he stood out because of his performance. And you talk about clutch performances, just some of his at-bats that he had were absolutely amazing, starting with the first game of the World Series when he's facing Roger Clemens in a tremendous battle. He goes back, it's a 9-pitch at bat off the Rocket, and Roger came out firing fastballs. He battled, he got down 0-2, and was able to continue to fight off till he got a pitch to handle. Right there, he fouls another one off and just kept battling. And I mean, Roger Clemens was in good form, and he got a pitch that was out over the plate. This started the trend in the first inning. And then in game 3, Jermaine Dye with the huge at-bat off Roy Oswalt. Remember that big 5-run 5th inning that the White Sox had? Well, Dye had maybe one of the great at-bats of everybody. Stays with that nasty slider, flips it into center field, and that drove another run home. And then in game 4, in the final game, off one of the best closers in baseball, Brad Lidge, first slider, nasty down in the dirt. He lays off the next one, and now he's already seen 2. The third one takes it back up the middle for the only run of the ball game. That's how you end up being the MVP. We didn't even have time to show his defense. Jermaine Dye, the MVP of the series, and deservedly so.
First RBI and last RBI of the series. As you see the trophy there he is, Jermaine Dye. Larry, how about the game plan of the White Sox going into this thing against Houston?
Well, I tell you what, Boomer, these guys played tonight to win. There was a lot of plays tonight that happened. They could have taken the safety first way. They're up 3-0, but they took a chance. Creedy made a great play. Podsednik stretching a triple with 2 outs. You never want to get thrown out there. And he said, you know what? I'm going for 3 here. And here you see him. The #1 rule in baseball is don't get thrown out third. If he holds on to the ball, he's probably out. But they wanted to push the envelope. They've been pushing the envelope all year, and he stretches a double into a triple with 2 outs. Here you see a ground ball right here to Iguchi. He could have very easily gone to first. He went to second to get the lead runner. They're not safety first baseball. It's winning baseball. Here you see this hit and run. Creedy makes a great play here, and he could have went to first because how tough that play was. Iguchi makes a great pivot. They made a double play. You could see it was in their eyes. They were aggressive. They took it to the Astros, and that's why they got the crown tonight.
And you know what? They have so many guys, and we've all talked about it here, Larry and Harold and Peter, that aren't, bright lights. But if you look real closely at the way they played this whole postseason, like Joe Creedy at third base, Peter. He's a bright light player.
Joe Creedy's been a good player, but he became a really extraordinary player in August and September. And the thing is that defensively and offensively, he had big home runs. He played great against Boston. He played great against Anaheim. And then in the World Series, he had half a dozen great plays and the home run. And Bobby Jenks, 2 saves as a rookie, came up from the middle of the season, became their closer. Closed out that game 2 against Boston sensationally with 2 innings. And then in the World Series, he ends up saving the important game. These are guys that developed, and I think have really probably turned the corner on their careers, as well as guys like Scott Pasednik, who very smartly changed his bat company right before the playoffs. Ended up hitting 2 home runs. But I mean, those 2 guys, Creedy, that was a borderline, looks like a borderline all-star, and Jenks could be a dominant closer, a little bit like Rodriguez a couple of years ago with the Angels.
Looks that way. Go ahead. The one thing about Jenks there on that last play, it's a good thing he can't jump, because he got about that high off the ground. And if he jumps,
well,
the big guy may knock that down. You know what I'm talking about.
I understand that. Listen, here's something that you need to know, because you got to hammer it home. World Series scores, right? 5-3, 7-6, 7-5 the game last night forever, and 1-0. 1 or 2 run games. White Sox, 2 or 1 run games combined. 68-35, 7-1 in the postseason, and all 4 of them 4 for 4 in the World Series. You win by 1 and 2 runs, you're paying attention to detail. And it was painfully clear to the other squad, the Houston Astros, their manager Phil Garner with Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Phil. You can see the love affair you have, even though you're defeated in the World Series. That says something about the people here.
Well, they're the big reason that we're here. I think our fans have multiplied, intensified over the years. I was here in '86 when we lost that tough thing to the Mets, and they went on to the World Series. And I think our fans have been behind us ever since, and they've just gotten better.
I know you said that you were somewhat embarrassed by the play after Game 3. How about after Game 4?
Well, no, I can't be embarrassed, and I need to clarify that. The question was, how do I mostly feel? I felt, and I'm a part of this team, I was ticked off, and I'm mad because I don't like getting beat. So I'm embarrassed, and I'm mad because we didn't get beat. That wasn't intended to point fingers at anybody. Our team has played hard. A break here or there, and this might have been an altogether different series.
Tell me what you learned about this team from the beginning of spring training through the World Series.
Well, I learned there's no quit in them. I think that in today's game, you can see teams that when they get down as far as we were, they have a hard time coming back, and we never quit.
Would Roger have been able to pitch a Game 5 if there was one?
I don't know. I didn't talk to him tonight, and never count him out. I don't know.
Bill, thank you.
You bet.
Congratulations.
Okay, all right.
Well, the Astros shut out in their last 19 innings with runners on base. You can see that. It was a hangover that continued from last night. Some of their names, look, it was not exactly murderer's row. And against the White Sox pitchers, it was anything but.
Hey, they
a valiant run.
They got shut out 17 times during the season. It was not a particularly good offensive team, but I think they were absolutely exhausted from that run to come from all the way back to finally clinch the wild card on the last day of the season. They have that incredible series with Atlanta, including the 18-inning game, to have a very tough series with St. Louis with Game 5 where they lost that heartbreaker on the Pujols homer. And then here they just looked like they were physically and mentally exhausted. Hey, they went a long way for what they had. I can't admire a team more than they did. The one thing, you never can question the guts of the Houston Astros.
Well, look, 44 years, okay? And they get to the World Series. This season will be talked about in Houston for a long, long time. No, they didn't win the whole thing, but here they arrive. Not talking in the same way as the White Sox.